Shalom, Most High in Christ bless. Welcome to another edition of 15 Minutes with the Captains. Today you got Captain Emmanuel of IUIC Arkansas, and the topic is eyes full of adultery. All right, adultery is a sin that's been plaguing the nation of Israel for thousands of years. All right, today we're going to deal with it at the root cause. Let's open up with Exodus chapter 20 and verse 14.
The book of Exodus, chapter 20 and verse 14.
Come on.
Thou shalt not commit adultery.
So that's the cut and dry commandment. Thou shalt not commit adultery. All right, let's go to Leviticus chapter 20 and verse 10. So the Bible is going to define what adultery is, and is going to let you know the former judgments for that sin. Now remember, Romans 15 and 4 says the things written aforetime was written for our learning. We understand that under the new covenant, bloodshed for sins is not permitted by the hands of man. However, these laws and these judgments under the old covenant teach you what sins are deemed worthy of death, and adultery is one of them. Let's read that.
The book of Leviticus, chapter 20 and verse 10.
Come on.
And the man that committed adultery with another man's wife, even he that committed adultery with his neighbor's wife, the adulterer and the adulteress shall surely be put to death.
So adultery is when you break the covenant of marriage, right? And you sleep with another person's spouse. God said the man and the woman committing the act are to be put to death. Was that it?
Yes, sir.
All right. So from there, let's go to Matthew chapter 5 and verse 27. So it's established under the old covenant for this sin, you were put to death. All right, let's go to Christ now. Let's read that.
The book of Matthew, chapter 5, verse 27. Ye have heard that it was said by them of old time, thou shalt not commit adultery.
That's what we read in Exodus. That's what we read in Leviticus. Go ahead.
But I say unto you, that whosoever looketh on a woman to lust after her.
So Christ, the thing that Christ was prophesied to do in the book of Isaiah was to come and magnify the law, right? Because Moses gave the law, and guess what? He said death will be the penalty, but that did not stop Israel from committing adultery. When you read Hosea chapter 4, that was one of the controversies that God had with the children of Israel. We steadily committed adultery. So Christ came to magnify the law. I know y'all heard in former times not to do the physical act, but listen to what I got to say. Go ahead.
That whosoever looketh on a woman to lust after her.
Christ said, whosoever looketh upon a woman to lust after her. Go ahead.
Hath committed adultery with her already in his heart.
Because that's where the sin starts. That's the root issue. That's the root cause. You not being able to control your eyes, which formulates a lust within your spirit and kindles a fire in you to commit the act. All right, now watch this, verse 29.
Verse 29. And if thy right eye offend thee, pluck it out.
So it's not talking about literally. Christ don't want you to walk around like Slick Rick, right? But what he's saying is, if your eye causes you to lust after your neighbor's wife, you need to do what you got to do to dead the lust before it gets to the physical act. You need to mortify the lust. Stop looking on other men's wives to lust after them. Go ahead.
And cast it from thee.
Read.
For it is profitable for thee that one of thy members should perish.
It's profitable for you that you stop getting your daily view of this sister, right? Your daily little Instagram stalking. You understand? It's better for you to stop doing that. Go ahead.
And not that thy whole body should be cast into hell.
Then for you to remain in that lust, and you let those evil thoughts lodge inside of you, and it builds the fantasies and things of that nature to where you eventually pursue the physical act. And then guess what? Now you are in the boat of an adulterer, and he said no adulterers will have any inheritance of the kingdom of heaven. You understand? So it's better for you to dead it at the lust aspect, right? Because we understand that lust is a pleasurable thing. It's pleasurable to look at an attractive woman, whether or not she belongs to you or not, right? But it's evil, it's wicked, and we got to mortify that thing if we do not want to be cast into the lake of fire. Finish that out.
And if thy right hand offend thee, cut it off.
That's it. That's all I want on there. So from there, go to James chapter 1. James said the same thing. Now, this is in general dealing with all sin, right? But of course, the topic is eyes full of adultery. Check this out.
The book of James, chapter 1, verse 14.
Go ahead.
But every man is tempted when he is drawn away of his own lust.
Right. So God doesn't put it in your spirit to desire another person's wife, to desire another person's husband. God does not put that into your spirit. There's something that you're dealing with in your flesh that you have inside of you that you have to use the word of God to deal with, right? You are enticed by your own lust. Go ahead.
And enticed. Then when lust had conceived.
When lust have conceived, right? But that means it gives birth to something in your spirit that doesn't belong there. Lust conceives and does what?
It bringeth forth sin.
It brings forth sin. That's why Christ said what he said. You need to cut it off at looking. You understand? Because looking, that visual will turn into physical. You understand? It's going to bring forth the physical act eventually. Or at least you attempting to do it. Go ahead.
And sin, when it is finished.
Once you get that in you, you know what? The N-word. Go ahead.
Bring it forth death.
It brings forth death. The wages of sin is death. Now, that goes on many different levels, but in general, we understand that they can cost you the kingdom of heaven, right? But even the consequences that you deal with after committing that act, adultery destroys lives. Adultery destroys marriages. Adultery destroys families. You understand? It is not worth it. It is not worth it. If God gave you your portion, you need to rest content. Do not look on other people's possessions in terms of spouses to desire them because it will lead to death. Understand that. From there, let's go to Sirach chapter 9, verse 8. Sirach chapter 9, verse 8.
The book of Sirach chapter 9, verse 8.
Come on.
Turn away thine eye from a beautiful woman.
So, unfortunately, brothers and sisters, especially for you brothers, right? Unfortunately, God made other women beautiful beside your wife. It is what it is. It's going to be other women that you're attracted to, right? But he gives you advice. Turn away your eye from her. You understand? It shouldn't be offensive to her, right? Y'all still brother and sister. Y'all still, can coexist. But a part of you looking out for your soul and working out your salvation, you can't look at her like that. You understand? You got to turn away your eye, right? That's what sisters in the body. That's what sisters at the grocery store, sisters at the gym, right? Turn away your eye from a beautiful woman. And not only that, but social media as well. Go ahead.
And look not upon another's beauty. For many have been deceived by the beauty of a woman.
Right. The beauty of a woman will deceive you to the point to where you think that she's sending signals at you to make your move. You understand? You start to think that it's worth it. You start to think that, that's my rib. That's the one that God designed to be with me. We just, I don't know. It was a miscommunication in the terms of who got married first and all of that, but really, we belong together. That's what the beauty of a woman would do to your mind. You understand? If you get to looking too much, that's where it would take you. Remember, it said a heart is deceitful above all things. Your mind will feed you these fantasies. Go ahead.
For herewith, love is kindled as a fire.
That love right there is talking about intense lust, right? Because it's like a bonding type of thing that you feel like you want to be with that person. You want to spend time with that person. You want to develop something with that person beyond just the looking. You understand? So it's an intense lust that is, some people get deceived in their mind to think that it's love. And it's kindled as a fire, meaning when it gets to that level, you will not stop until you quench that lust. You understand? You will not stop until you quench it. That's why turn away your eye, bruh. I'm telling you, because you're gonna ignite a flame that only a physical act worthy of death will be able to put out. Go ahead.
Verse 9. Sit not at all with another man's wife.
So don't sit at all with another man's wife, right? And it's going to get descriptive in this scenario. Go ahead.
Nor sit down with her in thine arms.
So think about it, right? this is another man's wife. And through you looking on her to lust after her, you admiring her beauty, now you want to spend private time with her, right? You want to sit with her alone. And you want to make physical contact. Now you want to hug. You know what I'm saying? She gets to sit with you in your arms, right? Go ahead.
And spend not thy money with her at the wine.
And now y'all drink, now y'all sipping together. That is a recipe for disaster, brothers. Think about it. Think about the term for strong drink, right? Wine and spirits. We know when we with our wives and we want to have a romantic night, what do we do to you know what I'm saying, to get things going? We sip. It's something about that strong that make you strong. You know what I'm saying? So now imagine this, you doing this with another man's wife. You going the hell off. Go ahead.
Lest thine heart incline unto her.
Lest thou what?
Heart incline unto her.
Lest your heart inclines unto her. Now, the same type of affinities that you have for your wife, you're starting to develop with her. Now you want a good morning text her. Now you worried about how was her day at work. You know what I'm saying? Y'all developing a bond that's only appropriate for a husband and a wife. And you start to desire her over your wife. Go ahead.
And so through thy desire, thou fall into destruction.
Through your lust, you will fall into your destruction. Why? Because lust, when it is conceived, bringeth forth sin, and sin, when it is finished, bringeth forth death. From there, go to Sirach chapter 41. So we got to use these scriptures to assist us in our fear of the Lord, to govern our decision-making in the things that we do, knowing what's wrong and what's right. All right, Sirach 41, verse 17.
The book of Sirach, chapter 41, verse 17.
Go ahead.
Be ashamed of whoredom before father and mother.
So in Sirach 41, starting in verse 17, is given a list of things to be ashamed of, right? Read verse 21.
Verse 21.
Come on.
And to turn away thy face from thy kinsmen.
So you ought to be ashamed of that. Go ahead.
Or to take away a portion or a gift.
You ought to be ashamed of that. Go ahead.
Or to gaze upon another man's wife.
To do what?
Or to gaze upon another man's wife.
To gaze upon another man's wife. There's something to be ashamed of, brothers. Think about it. I know brothers be getting away or think they getting away with it, right? They be finding little slick ways to do it when ain't nobody looking, ain't nobody caught them. Right? Or especially now with social media, you could just go to a room and turn the lights off and lock the door and just stalk the hell out of brother wife page, right? But the Lord got his way of revealing stuff. You understand? That's why we must fear the Lord. Just think about how embarrassing it would be if you were in the midst of gazing on another man's wife in the presence of the brethren. And a brother pointed you out. He looking at you over there like, at a brother wife, and he looking at you and looking at what you looking at, and hey, bro, you had the damn spirit. That's another, just imagine a humiliation. You understand? But the problem is when we by ourselves or when we think we slick and ain't nobody seeing us, we do these things that we ought to be ashamed of. The Lord said, listen, I'm always watching. I'm always looking. You ought to be ashamed to gaze on another man's wife. You understand? Let's get some examples of this. Let's go to Susanna chapter 1, and let's start at verse 7. So you can read the history on your own. It's a lot of stuff in this, right? But we're going to get to the meat. Just to catch everybody up, these are two elders, you understand, that was over our people, right? And they had a relationship with this brother to where they would be at his house often. And this brother had a beautiful wife named Susanna. So let's read that, verse 7.
The history of Susanna, verse 7.
Uh-huh.
Now when the people departed away at noon, Susanna went into her husband's garden to walk.
Read.
And the two elders saw her going in every day and walking, so that their lust was inflamed toward her.
So they were looking upon this woman, gazing upon her beauty. You understand? And their lust was inflamed toward her. That's what we read in Sirach chapter 9 when it says your love will be kindled as a fire. This is really talking about lust. right? But the flame that it causes inside of you gives you the same passions towards this woman only because of her beauty as love would. You understand? So their lust was inflamed toward her. Go ahead.
And they perverted their own mind.
They did what?
Perverted their own mind.
You will lose your damn mind. That's why Christ magnified that love. Just saying don't do it. The physical act is not enough. I got to tell y'all, listen, don't look after her to lust in your heart. That's why people still commit it, even though it's there with the judgment written. They still do it because they skip that step. Do not lust after her in your heart, because when you do, your mind gets perverted. You understand? You start to think things that you wouldn't think when you was in your right mind. Go ahead.
And turned away their eyes, that they might not look unto heaven.
That they might not what?
Look unto heaven. Nor remember just judgment.
So all the precepts that you know go out the window. Remember, these is elders. They was teaching the people, thou shalt not commit adultery. They was instructing people the laws of God. And here they find themselves perverting judgment, not even acknowledging the Lord. You understand? Forgetting all the just judgments that they were in charge of passing. You understand? Go ahead.
And albeit they both were wounded with her love.
They was what?
Wounded with her love.
Uh-huh.
Yet durst not one show another his grief.
But they were trying to hold that thing in. Go ahead.
For they were ashamed to declare their lust.
And that's the thing right there, brothers. You understand? We got to learn to be honest with ourselves. James 5:16 says, confess your faults one to another, so that a righteous man can pray for you, and the prayer of a righteous man avails much. Meaning the Lord will send angels to minister unto you and to help you overcome this lust, this demon. But too often we scared to admit or declare when we battling with that demon. We don't want to let nobody know that we battling with lusting. You understand? And that can result in what we're reading right now. They were ashamed to declare their lust. Go ahead.
That they desired to have to do with her.
Uh-huh.
Yet they watched diligently from day to day to see her.
So with you not declaring that lust and getting somebody that knows your issue and helps with your issue and able to hold you accountable and know what to watch out for you, you understand? When you don't have that, guess what? You're going to continue in your lust. You're not going to stop doing what you know you ain't supposed to be doing because nobody knows to help you or to look out for you. Go ahead.
And the one said to the other, let us now go home, for it is dinner time.
Right. So both of them are departing, right? But they have their own little personal route that they take to spin the block and get their view of Susanna. You understand? And little do they know tonight, their routes are going to intersect. Go ahead.
So when they were going out, they parted the one from the other, and turning back again, they came to the same place. And after that, they had asked one another the cause.
So their routes intersected, and they're like, damn, bro, what you doing back here? What you doing back here? You understand? Now it's coming out. Go ahead.
They acknowledged their lust.
They did what?
They acknowledged their lust.
Bro, I ain't even gonna lie. I'm trying to see that ass. Bro, I thought it was just me. Mind you, these elders, they supposed to be like, nah, bro, this wrong. We tripping. You know what I'm saying? But no, they acknowledge that this how far their mind had gone just from looking on her to lust after her. This how far their minds have went to where now they conspiring together to fulfill their lust together. Watch this, read on.
Then appointed they a time both together, when they might find her alone.
So they plotted to gang this woman, this sister, right? And they had a relationship with her husband. Her husband trusted them to allow them at his house every day when he was busy. You understand? And the lust was so strong in them that they not only desired and plotted to run a train on this brother's wife, but they betraying this brother. You understand? And that's what a lot of people don't understand about adultery. It's a double-edged sword. You not only defiling a woman, defiling a brother's wife, but you stabbing your brother in the back. You doing something very disloyal. You understand? That's why that sin is worthy of death. Let's get 2 Samuel chapter 11. in verse 1. Another example. You read the rest of that history on your own. All praise to the Most High. He raised up the spirit of young Daniel to expose them. And Sis Susanna didn't go through what they conspired to do to her. And them brothers ended up getting put to death. All right, read what you got.
The book of 2 Samuel, chapter 11, verse 1.
Go ahead.
And it came to pass after the year was expired, at the time when kings go forth to battle, that David sent Joab and his servants with him and all Israel. And they destroyed the children of Ammon and besieged Rabbah. But David tarried still at Jerusalem.
So we know King David was a warrior, right? A mighty man that fought many battles. But this time he sent this man out and he fell back. Go ahead.
And it came to pass in an evening tide that David arose from off his bed and walked upon the roof of the king's house. And from the roof he saw a woman washing herself. And the woman was very beautiful to look upon.
To do what?
She was very beautiful to look upon.
She was very beautiful to look upon, right? Now, for time's sake, we can't read all the history, right? But the point is, this ended up being the wife of one of David's soldiers that put his life on the line for David. You understand? Uriah the Hittite. This brother took Uriah, and they acknowledged, hey, this your brother's wife. David said, I don't care, bring her to me. Went in unto her, meaning laid with her, got her pregnant, and conspired for Uriah to come back from war, get full of that drink, and go have sex with his wife so he could end up raising a child that only him and the woman would know would not be his. That's some evil stuff right there. But remember what we read in Susanna, that's what lust would do. It'll pervert your mind. You not looking unto heaven. You not remembering just judgments. You understand? And Uriah, he wouldn't bend, he wouldn't fold. He was drinking a drink and wouldn't go nowhere. He wouldn't go to lay down with his wife because he wanted to abide with his fellow soldiers. You understand? So what did David have to do? He ended up getting his own brother killed in an effort to conceal his adultery. You understand? Now watch this. Go to chapter 12 and verse 7.
The book of 2 Samuel, chapter 12 and verse 7.
Go ahead.
And Nathan said to David, Thou art the man. Thus saith the Lord God of Israel, I anointed thee king over Israel, and I delivered thee out of the hand of Saul. And I gave thee thy master's house and thy master's wives into thy bosom, and gave thee the house of Israel and of Judah. And if that had been too little, I would moreover have given unto thee such and such things.
I want y'all to see how much the Lord loved David. The Lord said, listen, if the wives you already got wasn't enough for you, all you had to do was ask, and I would have granted you another beautiful, you know what I'm saying? Whatever you wanted, I would have gave to you, David. This is how much the Lord loved him. But this goes to show that lust, you desiring another man's wife, this is what it will do to you. You won't rest content with what you have or what you're able to get and try to take somebody else's position. Go ahead.
Wherefore hast thou despised the commandment of the Lord?
Thou shalt not commit adultery. David despised that. Go ahead.
To do evil in his sight. Thou hast killed Uriah the Hittite with the sword.
Killed his own brother. Go ahead.
And hast taken his wife to be thy wife.
And took his wife in the process. Go ahead.
And hast slain him with the sword of the children of Ammon.
And he used the heathen to put this brother to death. Set him at the forefront of the hottest battle for the heathen to kill him. That's some low down dirty stuff. Go ahead.
Now therefore the sword shall never depart from thine house.
Right.
Because thou hast despised me and hast taken the wife of Uriah the Hittite to be thy wife.
Right. So the Lord pronounced judgment against David. Right. The sword wouldn't depart from his house. Meaning his children, right, what happened unto them, it was a lot of death. His daughter got defiled by his own son. You understand? And much more evil, right? All starting with him looking on this man's wife to lust after her. That's where it all started. With not turning away his eye from that beautiful woman. It got him this. Go ahead.
Thus saith the Lord, Behold, I will raise up evil against thee out of thine own house, and I will take thy wives before thine eyes, and give them unto thy neighbor, and he shall lie with thy wives in the sight of this son.
So the Lord didn't even tell him specifically who would be doing this. He just said your neighbor, right? But this person would be his own flesh and blood son. His son would seek his life to kill him and sleep with his concubines in front of the whole nation. That's hey. Go ahead.
For thou didst it secretly.
You did this thing secretly. You lay with your Uriah Hittite wife secretly. Go ahead.
But I will do this thing before all Israel and before the sun.
But your son gonna smash your concubines in front of everybody. You understand? And that be the thing. A lot of brothers, when they dealing with this lust, this demon, and they get to conspiring how to commit these things, them be the brothers who cannot take what they dish out. Right? They don't want nobody looking at their wife, plotting how to get their wife. You understand? They want their cake. They want to have their cake and eat it too, if that's the proper phrase. They want to retain their wife and nobody lay hands on her and still get the other man's wife. Hey, guys, guess what? You want to lay with his wife secretly? I'm going to have your wives laid with openly. Watch this, Job chapter 31 and verse 1.
The book of Job chapter 31 verse 1.
Go ahead.
I made a covenant with mine eyes. Why then should I think upon a maid?
Right, so Job gave some wise counsel, just like Christ, just like Jesus, the son of Sirach. Turn away your eye from a beautiful woman. Make a covenant with your eyes so you looking upon that woman doesn't turn into thoughts, doesn't turn into fantasies, doesn't turn into a plan to execute adultery. Job said, I'm going to make a covenant with my eyes. I ain't going to gaze on another man's wife. Go ahead.
For what portion of God is there from above, and what inheritance of the Almighty from on high?
So what portion will a person receive for doing such a thing? Jump down to verse 9.
Verse 9. If mine heart have been deceived by a woman, or if I have laid wait at my neighbor's door.
Because that's what you do, right? You waiting for their brother to go to war. You waiting for their brother to leave the house and go to work. You understand? You waiting for their brother to leave and be away long enough for you to go in there and get your rocks off. You understand? Read on.
Then let my wife grind unto another.
Job said, if that evil spirit get on me to do that, then let somebody do my wife the same way. Let my wife grind unto another. Go ahead.
And let others bow down upon her.
And let another man and let other men beat her walls down. You understand? Because Job understands just judgment. I can't do something like that and not expect it to be done unto me, not expect some type of recompense. You understand? Read on.
For this is an heinous crime.
A what?
This is an heinous crime.
A heinous crime. Go ahead.
Yea, it is an iniquity to be punished by the judges.
A judgment worthy of death. Starting with the what? The eyes. That's why he said, I made a covenant with my eyes. Because that's where it starts, and that's where it will lead to death, destruction of lives. You understand? So from the last scripture, 2 Peter chapter 2. Oh, my bad. Read verse 12. I'm sorry. Read verse 12. This goes with everything we read thus far. Read verse 12 in Job 31.
The book of Job 31, verse 12. For it is a fire that consumeth to destruction.
It is a fire. You look it up on a woman to lust after her, ignites a flame within you of lust that can only be quenched by the physical act. You understand? It is a fire that consumeth to destruction. Go ahead.
And would root out all mine increase.
It will root out all your increase. Everything you work so hard for and labor for in your life, right, in this truth, and etc., you will blot all of that out over a piece of booty that don't belong to you. Last scripture, 2 Peter chapter 2, verse 14.
The book of 2 Peter chapter 2, verse 14.
Go ahead.
Having eyes full of adultery.
Having what?
Eyes full of adultery.
Having eyes full of adultery. And this is talking about men that end up going off and turning their back on this truth. You understand? That's how far it can cause you to go astray. These type of men have eyes full of adultery. Go ahead.
And that cannot cease from sin.
They cannot what?
Cease from sin.
They cannot cease from sin because you got to think you do a sin that major, that worthy of death. Just imagine what all else you would do. You understand? It would set off a chain reaction of all manner of abomination to where you would not be able to stop. You think you're going to dabble in that cookie jar and not go back once you do it? You see what I'm saying? You would not be able to cease from that. Go ahead.
Beguiling unstable souls, and heart that have exercised with covetous practices.
Covetous practice, desiring others' possessions, including their spouses. Go ahead.
Cursed children.
Cursed children. Children marked for judgment. You understand? So, Lord's willing, Israel, we take heed to this, especially us men. Let's make a covenant with our eyes. Let's not look upon other men's wives to lust after them, because it would continue to lead us to this sin that plagues us to this day and root out all of our increase. Brothers, let's tighten up. Let's apply these scriptures. Lord's willing, y'all got some out of that. Shalom, Most High, and Christ bless.
What is a nation? Nation is men leading by example. Nation is family. Nation is community. Nation is children with role models. Nation is unity. Nation is you.
And finally, my brethren, be strong in the Lord. His word, His word, His word, His word.
Shalom, Israel. This is Bishop Nathaniel. I want you to know that you can view all our Sabbath classes live on IUIC TV. That's right, I said on IUIC TV. Download the app today. Shalom.